Good morning, everybody. It's your good buddy Tim. Great to be with you today with another thought from God's Word. And in our study today, we're in Deuteronomy chapter 17, 18, 19, and 20. And these chapters are so rich. There's so much in there. But I'd just like to share with you a thought from Deuteronomy chapter 18. Years ago, I had a Sunday school teacher in our church that came to me with a complaint because our lessons at that time were from the Old Testament. And she said, I don't want to teach this Old Testament stuff. I just want to tell the kids stories about Jesus. And I tried to explain, but a lot of people have that idea about the Old Testament. But the truth is, the Bible is one book, and it tells one story, and there is one hero, Jesus, no matter where you look. In fact, the Old Testament not only shows us Jesus, but it teaches things about Jesus that are displayed in the New Testament and help us understand Jesus even more as we read the Old Testament. One of those passages is in Deuteronomy chapter 18, where Moses said, The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren like unto me. Unto him you shall hearken, according to all that thou desirest of the Lord thy God in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, Let me not hear again the voice of the Lord my God, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not. And the Lord said unto me, They have well spoken that which they have spoken. They don't belong up here in this mountain, in other words. And God said, I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren like unto them, and will put my words in his mouth. You notice, at least in my Bible, the word prophet is capitalized. And the reason for that is that the translators understood that this is not just any prophet that Moses is talking about. He's talking about Jesus here in this passage. And it tells us some things about Jesus, that he's going to be Jewish, for one thing, which he was, and taught us salvation is of the Jews. He will teach people God's word, which he did. Now, there would be many prophets in the future that would come and go, but they were not the prophet that Moses is talking about. There's only one. It's a singular. But their mission was to train the ears of God's people so that when this prophet came, that they would hear and recognize that it's really him. And people did. People came to John the Baptist in the Gospel of John 1:19 and said the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, Who art thou? And he confessed and denied not, but confessed, I'm not the Christ. And they asked him, What then? Art thou Elias? And he said, I'm not. Art thou the prophet? And he answered, No. They were talking about the prophet of Deuteronomy 18 that Moses was talking about. They knew they were talking about the Messiah. John knew that they were talking about Jesus. When Philip came to Nathanael in John 1:45, he said, We have found him of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write, Jesus of Nazareth. They understood that this prophet was Jesus that we're talking about here. In Acts chapter 7, what Moses said was quoted by Stephen before he was stoned to death. They all knew that Moses was writing about Jesus and telling us some things about him. Interesting, he said, there's going to be a prophet like me. Well, how was Jesus like Moses? Well, for one thing, when he was born, the government of Egypt attempted to kill him as an infant. The law said, if it's a male baby, throw him in the river. And of course, his mother did, threw him in the river in a basket, but he was in the river. When Jesus was born, the government tried to kill him. When Herod realized that the wise men returned another way, he was angry and killed all the children in Bethlehem under 2 years old. Well, Moses was part of the royal family, and he was in the court of the government of Egypt, and he turned away from it when he was 40 years old and identified with his people. Jesus left the glory of heaven and came to this earth to identify with his people. Moses made intercession for his people a number of times, and Jesus made intercession for his disciples. He told Peter that Satan has desired to sift you as wheat, that I prayed for you. And even today, he's sitting at the right hand of God, interceding for his people right now. Moses was the mediator of the old covenant. Jesus was the mediator of the new covenant. Moses was not recognized by his people the first time. They said, "Who made you a ruler over us?" But the second time, they recognized that God had made him a ruler over them. Jesus was not recognized at his first coming, but he will be at his second coming. Hey, you want a story about Jesus? You've got one right here. He left the glory of heaven for you. Right now, he's at the right hand of the Father, interceding for you. He mediates the new covenant that provides the new birth for you. He was rejected by his people, but the day's coming when he's going to come back for you. Hey, my friends, I'll take that story any day. How about you? Think about it today, will you? And join us tomorrow as we continue our study in Deuteronomy 21, 22, and 23. Have just a fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you then.